All right, if everybody can see my screen. I have a couple of modules today that I can demo. They're pretty quick. One of them is called custom log entry. And I don't know if you guys are probably familiar with this, but whenever you set up a project and you do any changes, you make any changes to the design or do any data entry, REDCap tracks all of that information, and they've actually upgraded their logging, so it's a little more robust. And you can find the logging here in the menu on the left. And if we click on it, you'll see here that it tracks when I created the project, if I've enabled modules to the project, and then if I've created fields and any changes that I've made, and it's any changes that anybody makes. And now they've included this where it shows you the data of the changes that were made when you create records. I'm not sure if they always had that, but it's a little more descriptive now. And so this is the basic logging page for REDCap, and they've changed some of these. They've added some more options up here to where you can have custom ranges and set specific filter criteria. But what I'm going to talk about today is an external module called custom log entry, and I'm going to enable it right now, so you'll get to see me enable it.
Wait 1 second. Can you stop a second?
Yep.
Can you go back to the log a minute? What I wanted to point out that we haven't pointed out yet is the addition of what you just did. So the log never used to track external modules. It just had managed design and all of that, but it never added to the log these external modules and when you added them or removed them. So that in itself is a new addition I just wanted to point out. The custom ranges up there with the past day and the past week went in, I don't know, maybe about 4 to 6 weeks ago, something like that, which is new in itself also, because we haven't had time to demonstrate everything that's happened, but that's new. So thanks, I just wanted to point that out.
No problem. So what this module does is it allows you to add your own custom entry to the logging. So when you have a record, and I just have a dummy record here, you have the option of having these history and comment buttons, or these little option icons here that you can click on. So if I change my birth date to today and I save it, I can go back to the history and I can look at the history of what the original value was and what the current value is and who made that change. And this is all stored in the history. And then if I make a comment, like if I just said DOB is incorrect, please fix. Now if I click on this, you see comments here. But this is within the record. And if we go back to the logging, you'll see that the logging tracks that. So it has the record that I created, and then it has the value for the record, and it's saying that the date of birth field was updated to this. And I could add a field comment for the date of birth, and it shows here, it says date of birth is incorrect, please fix. Now, the custom log entry module allows you to just add, so let's say we didn't make that change, or we made that change but we didn't make the comment. So let me go back to the record. And let me just, so I'm just going to update this to a new value. I'm not going to make a comment this time. And you can see here that anytime there's a field with a comment, it highlights that icon, it turns it to yellow. So if I made a change but I didn't put a comment in, it won't show up here. But I can add that now with the custom log entry. So when I enabled that module, it gave me this menu option down here, custom log entry, and now I can enter I can enter entries for anything essentially. If I just want something to be in the logging for posterity, I can put whatever I want in here. And this was great for design changes because if we go back to the logging, you'll see that it just says created project field. So I added fields this morning or this afternoon, and all it just says is created project field. Now, if I did, if I made an entirely new module, or sorry, a new instrument, and did a lot of changes, I'm just going to see a wall of these entries saying create project field. So if I go back to the logging, it's not really descriptive. It's not going to help me. And so if I go to custom log entry, and I could just say created fields for red zone demo. And I could submit that. Now it's here in the logging, so I have that now. I can also attach a note to a specific record. So if I say updated email address because of bounce back, and I could just select which record I changed and then submit that. And then now it's a custom note that's linked to record 1. So, and as far as I know, if I select record 1, those values stay there. So if I just want to see everything that's changed for record 1, these all pop up. These custom notes pop up as well. And this is really nice where if you have some data entry error, or if somebody says like, well, I put this information in and this record for some reason is not correct, you can go into the logging and look to see if there's any changes that have been made. You could also go to that record directly and look at the history, but you would have to click on every field to see if there's what the original values were and if there were any changes to the values. The logging gives it to you all in one table for you to look at and scroll through. And then you can also export your logging, all the logging. You can so if I just wanted to export this little chunk here, I could click this button and it'll export as a CSV just these values or the current page. So if there were more logging records, like let's say, because this is page 1 of 1, and I think it does 100 as the pagination value. So if we had more than 100 and I only wanted the first 100, I could just do basically these current filters, a current page. Current page would just give me the first, or the page that I'm on. So if I wanted the next page, I would just select the next page and then click current page. So this is just a way for you to have custom log entries. It may not be something that's you're going to use all the time, but coming from a coding background, it's one of those things where you always want to code, you always want to add comments, because you may not look at this for years to come. And Terry and I, we've certainly run into this problem where we've built projects for people and have handed them off, and then years later they come back to us and they ask us about these projects, or hey, can you fix this, or hey, this isn't working right. And Terry and I have to sit down and figure out what exactly we did when we built it, and we kind of have to get back into that headspace because we haven't touched it in years. This would be a good thing to have because we could just go through the logging and go, okay, yeah, I remember when we did that, or I remember how that was done, or why we did it, and jump right back in quicker.
One thing I wanted to say is you have to remember that the log is something that's auditable. So this is really a great addition for me because there are many times I have to go into somebody to a project that somebody has set to production. Okay, so they've left development, they're in production, and in order for me to look at what some of the settings were in the instruments or whatever, I have to take it and enable the changes, put it in draft mode. And I always hate doing that and opening up and possibly even making a necessary change to a record, because I don't like to touch other people's projects. It really should be something that they should do, but taking it out of production and putting it back into production is something that's documented. I would really like to be able to say, I took this out of production because I needed to look at such and such. So, and then I put it back in production at this time because I was done with my analysis or whatever. But that way, it's not just showing me touching somebody's project and nobody knowing why I touched that. Why is my name showing up in there? I'm not even associated to the project. But the log will capture, as an administrator, we don't need to use the rights to get into a project because we need to be able to help you where there are issues. So this is a great feature, I think.
Yeah, and I was thinking it might be something that, there are certain modules that we enable for all projects automatically across the board. And this might be one of them that would be nice to add just so that everybody has that functionality and that feature if they need it. So that's something that Terry and I can discuss later.